Hey there, fellas. Alright, a new episode, a new story. So apparently this all began when we got to making different kinds of prop shafts out of plastic pipes of varying thickness, even out of toilet paper. We had plans to make a sturdy carbon fiber one, something very tough. And well, since we've been releasing all of those videos, we've often been seeing this picture pop up in the suggestion box. And you know, it does actually look like a pretty good idea. I mean, in the past we have run into situations when we've done work to a car, swapped some parts out, fitted transfer cases to it and whatever. And oftentimes, when we'd have a car with a lot of suspension travel, it'd require a propeller shaft with a long spline connection. And those can be pretty hard to come by. But someone out there came up with a pretty ingenious solution. They figured they could take a couple of box tubes. Now, I still can't quite fathom how they were able to match the diameters. That's something we'll have to work on. But if I can demonstrate, well, then again, you already saw it all on that picture. You had a propeller shaft made of square tubing, and that solved the spline connection issue, thanks to its ability to change its length with suspension articulation, with one pipe sliding inside the other. Anyway, why don't we put one of these together, go outside? And yeah, the roads right now are just right for testing this out, which is what we intend to do. Alright, let's do this. Today's video is brought to you by Surfshark VPN. Surfshark is a virtual private network service that allows you to mask your activities online. Why, and most importantly, from who would you want to hide your virtual footsteps? On one hand, you have big tech companies that actively collect data on who is doing what and where in the internet, to then use that information to make money. And on the other hand, you have outright cyber criminals, who you definitely don't want to get their hands on your personal data, such as bank accounts, credit card numbers, and so on. Surfshark VPN, with its military-grade encryption, will help protect your privacy from getting compromised. And aside from the safety hygiene aspect, a VPN has some positive practical benefits. For example, some shows on platforms such as Netflix are not available in many countries, and in some cases countries block entire websites altogether. That's something a VPN easily allows to bypass. Those are just a few of the many benefits of Surfshark VPN. Sign up today using the link in the description, use the code GARAGE54 to get an 83% discount, and to get 3 extra months for free. Sliding variable geometry prop shaft with no splines, translation and voiceover by BMI Russian. Alright, so look here. We've made a similar square tube prop shaft. Everything is looking good, though we did have to reinforce it in this area to keep it from deforming. Here we've made a few marks. That's so the change in length would come through on camera. But then we can always examine that while the car is on a lift. Either way, it's good to have these marks, or at least some kind of visual representation. Okay, well, this rotates, that's nice. And so now I suggest we bring the car down, plant it onto its wheels. Oh wait, I almost forgot. While I'm still here, you see that? We've removed the shock absorbers. That's to enable the car to easily rock up and down, to ensure constant movement of the prop shaft. It is variable geometry after all, and loading up the axle is going to shorten it. So if we imagine that we have 3 corners of a triangle, well, this is essentially the hypotenuse. That side will continuously vary in height, and so will the hypotenuse. But I mean, enough with the geometry. Am I right? At the end of the day, this is a mechanical exercise, so let's get out there and see what happens. See what this looks like in action. Let's do this. Well, what can I say? Now, I want to start by saying that the travel... I always used to think that there was a lot of movement at the spline connection. I mean, yeah, if we fully load up the suspension with the car on the left, I don't expect it to slide any more than like 10 to 15 mil tops. Because if you were paying close attention to the footage, you would have noticed the movement, of course, but it was pretty modest. I mean, you're definitely not talking 50 centimeters or anything like that. Something tells me it wouldn't have even gotten to like 30 millimeters. Even that's not realistic. 10 and that's about it. The way I see it, anyway. But I mean, there is some movement happening at least. So yeah, this is very much a working concept. It actually works. Why didn't we think of this before? I mean, when we would find ourselves in a situation when we needed extra movement in the prop shaft, granted on a lot in the winter you're not really dealing with all that much stress, but we'd always go for a longer spline connection, when we could have just done this. However, there are a few caveats. You see, in order to get rid of any knocking and vibration, you need to match the diameter of the pipes to make sure they're a tight fit. They have to be pretty much perfectly matched to each other in order for there to be as little play as possible. Otherwise, you're going to be hearing a lot of rattling. But at the end of the day, what matters is that this works. I'm actually a bit upset that we never thought of this before, because in the past, when we'd build something, oftentimes we'd think that we need a lot of movement in the spline connection. And, well, yes, on some of the suspensions we put together, there was a ton of travel. And now we know that this is a viable option in that sort of scenario. Awesome. All right, fellas, that's all I got for you. This seems to have been a 107% success. Granted, you do have to match the tubing precisely, but that's about it. Overall, this isn't complicated. And that's all I got for you. Watch us, subscribe, send in your suggestions, comment, give us a big thumbs up. I'm gonna move here. There's not all that much headroom. All right, catch you later. I saw some antifreeze dripping onto you. I didn't want to tell you, I thought like, you can always just throw that into the washing machine later.